Hello. So I wanted to discuss two books that I've read recently. The first is American Gods by Neil Gaiman, and the second is The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid. Start with The American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Uh, this is my first Neil Gaiman novel, and oh boy, this was a ride. American Gods is precisely what it says it is at the cover. American Gods is about gods. And Neil Gaiman has this way of projecting gods and mythologies into normal daily life and blend it with normal people like you and me. And he creates this whole mixture of mythology and normal life, as if this life and afterlife and all the gods of that life have ascended or have descended upon the earth and are living among us. This is the premise of the American Gods. Now, since America is a land of people who have migrated from a very disparate places, there are a lot of gods that is supposedly in America which comes from different places of the earth, like Norse mythological gods. People who have come from that neck of the woods have brought with them the Norse gods. Then you have the Irish gods. Then you have the Indian gods. And this book pretty much deals with a lot of those gods. The African Americans, those who have come in, they have brought their own gods, and this book deals with all those gods being present here today among us. There's a very interesting line at the beginning, or a interesting question at the beginning of the book. See if I can find it. Yes, here it is. One question that has always intrigued me is what happens to demonic beings when immigrants move from their homelands. Irish Americans remember the fairies, Norwegian Americans the Nisser, Greek Americans the Ricolacus, but only in relation to events remembered in the old country. When I once asked why such demons are not seen in America, my informants giggled confusedly and said they are scared to pass the ocean. It's too far, pointing out that Christ and the apostles never came to America. This is taken from Richard Dorn, A Theory for American Folklore, and the Historian, University of Chicago Press, 1971. This is exactly what this book sets out to do: bring in those demonic beings, those gods, and place them amongst us, or have them use us to achieve their objectives. The main god of the book is Odin. He is represented in the book as Wednesday, as you might know that Wednesday is basically named as after Odin. It's Odin's day, so therefore the abbreviation that then came to be known as Wednesday. Odin is a Norse mythological god, and he is here portrayed as the All Father. The protagonist of the novel, from supposedly from this world, is somebody called Shadow Moon, a guy who has done about 3 years of prison time and is now released, and here he is now caught in a absolute turbulence where gods hire him to do his job, Odin mainly, and he cannot extricate himself from this whole god and apocalypse business. All sorts of characters come in. It's also a road novel where it goes to many places like Chicago, Illinois. Like there is a small town called Lakeside in Wisconsin, goes to Las Vegas, Nevada, in several other places as well. And it is caught up amongst all of these gods. There is Matt Sweeney, an Irish god who supposedly a con god, does these coin tricks and other stuff. Odin is also shown here as a god of cons and all. He's also a master at that, and his main um, his main thing is blood sacrifice basically. And then there is Nancy, the Anansi god from the Ghanaian folklore, eventually came to be accepted as in a large part of Africa, a mischievous spider spirit, Anansi. There's another book by Neil Gaiman called The Anansi Boys. I haven't read that yet. I plan to. Then there is Whiskey Jack, or Whiskey Jack as he is being described in the novel, is the Native American god. Admired in Native American folklore. There is the goddess of Kali, our own goddess of Kali from Hinduism. And there is also, I believe, Chenobog and Bilobog. Those are Russian gods of darkness and light, supposedly two sides of a single god. And then there are so many. There's also someone called Hinzelmann, which I have not been able to find reference to in mythologies that I've searched. And this is something that has to be read as it is. When I first took to reading American God, I thought this was a title that this would be about America, about road trip, about American people, American maybe idols, maybe the American dream. Who knows? But this is exactly what it says it is. It is American gods. This is about the gods of America and the way they want to bring about a war with the modern gods. The gods that I just described are the traditional gods, and that there are the modern gods, the gods of technology, the gods of television, the gods of telephone, whatever, gods of internet, things that modern people worship, in the sense that they spend more time devoted to these things. They're willing to sacrifice personal lives to them, so therefore they are assumed to be God, which is a perfectly beautiful logic to me. It makes very good sense. God is something that you devote to, you're willing to sacrifice things to, and in that way, these modern gods are now in conflict with these traditional gods, and the whole plan of Odin is to bring about a war, spill a lot of blood, and that is supposedly something that will strengthen him. There is also Loki as well. Loki meaning the mischievous god as well. He's called Loki Lysmith in this novel. He's a prison made of shadow. It's a beautiful novel. It's really enjoyable. It's very unapologetic, so it will not go on and explain to you the god it is referring to. You have to do that work yourself. You have to find out which god it is talking about. It has got hints, mind you, but there are no notes saying that Odin or Wednesday is Odin, Nancy is a Nancy, who is Mamaji or Kali, who is Whiskey Jack. And these things you have got to find out. And once you find out and read the book, it's a really good experience, and I do plan to read more of Neil Gaiman. There's a three-part web series available in Amazon, I believe. American God season 1, 2, and 3. The series, as I know, I have not seen it yet. As I know, it has differed somewhat from the book. So it'd be interesting to see the series as well. It's not. It hasn't differed in spirit. It's probably better to say that it has expanded itself upon this book. So, American God by Neil Gaiman. Next, a kind of a short novella, more than a novel, is The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid. Um, Again, this is my first Mohsin Hamid. I plan to buy and read lots more next from Mohsin Hamid. But what this novel is about is a Pakistani guy, and he's interlocuting with his American with an American tourist or American visitor in a cafe at Lahore. Now, the only person who speaks in this novel is our protagonist, who is known as Chengiz or Changiz, or whatever you want to call him. He is the only person who speaks, and there is no one else in the novel who speaks a single word. Now, you might think that that's weird, that it's going to be difficult to read the novel. Absolutely not. This is one of the most easiest novels to read, and it's very, very enjoyable. So what our protagonist Cengiz does is he sits at a table at a cafe in Lahore, and he interlocutes with a American visitor, and everything he says elicits, or whatever he says that elicits a reaction from the visitor, is then reflected on his own speech. So if I'm talking to and I'm saying that, do you like this food? Oh, I see you like this food from the look on your face. The whole of this novel, it's a very short one, just 184 pages or so long. But all of this is done in this way. So Cengiz himself the speaks something, and the reaction of that speech is then recorded by Cengiz again in his own speech. But this is mainly about Chengiz's life story. Cengiz went to Princeton College in USA in a scholarship program, and he really flourished there. He was a very bright student. He got himself a very coveted job at Underwood and Sampson, and his life was very set. He sort of, well, not sort of, he did fall in love with a girl called Erica, and he basically imagines that from his life in Lahore. Now, his life in Lahore is something that is waning now. They were rather affluent people, but business has sort of slowed down a great deal, and they're no longer that rich anymore, or that belongs to that economic class anymore. It's dilapidating, it's deteriorating. So here he finds himself in New York with a company like Underwood and Sampson, which we are given to believe is a great company for which everybody strives to work for. And he is even a number one employer in that company as well. So he's really doing well for himself. He's in love with Erica. Erica, it seems, is in love with Cengiz, and bam, here comes 9/11. 9/11 happens. What happens after this? Uh, I'll let you read it. But don't make no mistake about it. This is not about another 9/11 novel. Life was like this before 9/11, then after 9/11, everything was difficult for any Muslim. This is not absolutely that, but yes, this is influenced by that as well. There is significant parts of this that is actually based on that, on the reaction of 9/11. And it's not just the American reaction, it's also the reaction of a Muslim and a Pakistani living in America. It is the sense that I am abandoning my own people and just pursuing my own life. It's also set in the timeline of the Indian Parliament attacks, and when India and Pakistan were on the brink of a catastrophic war. It's also that, it's also 9/11, all these things, and what our character goes through at that moment, what decision he takes and how those decisions ultimately influence his life. Short and delightful novel. I believe there is also some sort of screen adaptation from it. I haven't seen it. I do plan to though. So there you go, the two books that I've recently read. And as soon as I read something more interesting, I'll come back to you. Bye.